Yeah. I'm a virtual executive assistant for a hybrid or fully remote the last 15 years or so. And so I've used all the platforms. 10 years ago, I think it was Skype, Zoom, even Facebook Messenger for friendly stuff or whatever. During COVID, I think Zoom was more popular during COVID, if I recall. Yeah, so I've been a user of many of them, and I feel like I haven't really mastered any of them as a webinar host. Kind of fumble around usually. Thankfully, I haven't had to do anything very formal, so it's usually a small meeting or whatever, and fumbling around to let people in and out is not a big deal. So yeah, the kinds of things I've hosted webinars for is namely a couple years ago, there was a evening Bible study that we did online because we were all in many different places. So I've participated in a couple of those kinds of group webinars, small scale webinars. And that's the only time I can remember hosting. And I believe we did use Zoom. Yeah. It felt very user friendly when I first logged in and poked around and looked at it. And then it was a little bit, there was a couple areas where I thought, how do I get back to the dashboard when I was just looking around? So as a new user, I think it would be nice to have like a big obvious button of dashboard, homepage, or whatever, so you could go back out of the host. There might have been one that I just wasn't intuitively finding. That was my only thing I can think of off the top of my head, was navigating from the host side to just sort of the general homepage. Once I was in the host side, I felt like, well, I'm there for good. I couldn't figure out. Couple times I had to like log back in to figure out, I want to go look around there on the regular dashboard. When I tried to like host a webinar, I was really pleased. I thought it was very user friendly, and I loved the side panel where you could load all your slides. So easy to navigate that way and use them and screen share them. Yeah, it looked like it would be easier to me than either Google Meets or Zoom as a host. One question I have is, how can people use it for free as a user, or would I have to ask my guests? Because Zoom and Meets are pretty much, everybody has them on their devices now, so they're pretty easy to access. When I logged in for the first time, I don't remember it being fumbling around or anything like that. So yeah, I guess unless there's like you have to pay up front to use it, which I don't remember that was the thing. Yeah, I would be happy to like send a link, invite someone to use it that way. Yeah. When I was the host, if I wanted to look back at the dashboard, like maybe if I were setting up my slides and wanted to go back and forth or something like that, that navigation to me was a little bit unclear. Like, how can I go back to the regular homepage? So that's the only thing I noticed personally. I tend to think that it was probably me not being familiar, and my hosting experience has been sporadic over the last like 6 years on different platforms. So I have a feeling if I used it once and just followed the pop-ups that, you know, there were some very nice pop-ups kind of guiding the user. I think using it once and doing one trial, and I would be very comfortable with it. Yeah. I don't think it really needed improvement. I have two favorite things: the large, real easy to see buttons like go here, go there. I love that, with the real clear graphics, very simple. So the page wasn't so cluttered. Sometimes like I'm looking around like, where's that little tiny button I need? So I really like that simple, clear, minimalist look to it. Slideshow part of it was just look super user friendly, very easy to navigate. I have one more suggestion. I were hosting a webinar in the chat boxes. I would want the chat box that was like a DM to one member to be very distinctive. So I would realize this is a private chat, as opposed to, because I know me, I would be afraid of saying something privately to the whole group. Not that I would say anything negative. Like when I kind of, was looking around and exploring that area, I was like, oh, I know if I were presenting and if I needed to say someone like, hey, Jane is really taking over this meeting. Could you please try to direct it a little bit more or something like that? I'd want to make sure that was going as a DM rather than to the whole group. Maybe a different color background on the group message or the chat or private. Yeah, I would say it appears very user friendly on both, especially if you're just joining a webinar, super user friendly. I mean, it's a turnkey. You're in and you're watching the webinar. So I like that. I think I would recommend it. Yeah, definitely to try it. And I honestly can't see what's too different about it. I know the simplicity of it is the thing that stuck out for me, which is very attractive. I wasn't looking, but I did not see a whole lot of information on like subscribing or the levels of service. Probably is right there and it's easy to find. But that would be my only thing I'm wondering about because that was something I didn't really look for. Like if you want to use this with your business, what would it cost and what extra utilities would that include? And I'm assuming there's probably a free usage level as well. So no, it seemed everything worked perfectly for me when I tried it out. So yeah, very good.